Very good afternoon, students. Dr. Sangamita Das. In this particular session of Human Values and Professional Ethics, we will be talking about harmony in the society. So, we have already explored harmony in the human being and harmony in the family. In the previous chapter, we also discussed about harmony in the family. So, it has to do with relationship. The base of relationship is actually feelings in oneself or for the other self. That is the I. So, the feelings are fundamental to harmony in the family, except for the feeling of care, physical facility, has only a symbolic role in expressing the feelings. So, we are talking about the values over there. So over here we will talk about harmony in the society. As we all know that as you're all aware that human families actually they do not exist in isolation but are always in mutual coexistence with other families in a family cluster. Also the family relations are naturally they get extended far and wide. In addition, we usually need to frequently interact with various other human beings and this forms our immediate society. So in this particular session we'll try to understand the harmony in the society. The base of harmony in the society is harmony in the family, for which the base is harmony in the human being, which leads to harmony in a sequence. So, first we talked about harmony in the human being, which leads to harmony in family, which further leads to harmony in the society. So, we only people have harmony within will be able to ensure a family which is in harmony. Families which have harmony within can give rise to a society which is in harmony. So we'll try to explore three aspects of society. The goal of human being living in society, that is the human goal, the system required to achieve the human goal, and the scope of the system. So, as we already have talked about, that harmony in the family leads to harmony in society. This actually makes an undivided society when one feels related with each other and with every human being. So, you can say that harmony in the family is actually the building block for harmony in the society. So, harmony in society leads to an undivided society when we feel related with each other and with every human being. And this is actually the basis for undivided society, that is Akhand Samaj, a feeling of related with all. So the goals of human being living in a society can be shown in the following diagram. That is, you can see it over here, that identification of the comprehensive human goal. So you must have right understanding, that is samadhan in every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness in society, and coexistence, that is trust or abhay in nature. So the goals you can see over here. So if this is also your aspiration, so what is actually naturally acceptable to you? So right understanding in every human being, or only a few to have right understanding and others to follow them. Prosperity in every family, or few families to have accumulation and others to be deprived and dependent on a few. Fearless based on trust and affection in the society, or a state of fear based on mistrust and jealousy in the society. So coexistence, that is mutual fulfillment in nature, or exploitation and domination of the nature. So you have to ask yourself that what is actually naturally acceptable to you. So you have to ask yourself and find out whether you can do away with any of these four goals. Are all four goals desirable, or can we leave something out? Next, find out if all the four are achieved, then what else is required. So a little exploration will actually show you that all four goals are desirable and required. We can't leave anything out and nothing seems to be missing. So therefore we can recognize a definite human goal and it can be common to everyone living in the society. So you have to see that. So the next question that arises is that from where do we need to start? So you have to understand that when we require all these four goals, so where to start from? Will we start with right understanding and right feelings in the self, in the individual, or with prosperity in every family, or fearlessness in the society, or coexistence in nature, or its existence? So, since the individual human being is basic building block for the family, which is a basic building block of the society, ensuring right understanding and right feeling in every individual is the first thing that has to be done. So, families of such individuals only can identify the need for physical facility, produce more than that, and ensure prosperity in the family. Prosperous families living together in a relationship of mutual fulfillment can ensure fearlessness based on trust amongst themselves. Such a society can ensure mutual enrichment with the rest of the nature, and it can lead to coexistence in the nature. This is the kind of society we want now to explore. So, if we do a current appraisal of the current scenario, or you can say appraisal of the current status, so in the and we see what is actually happening in the society, we can see some major achievements that has been done in the society nowadays. That there is abundant of availability of physical facility like food is there, clothing is there, housing, gadgets, instruments, and equipments. The world has actually become very well connected. You have a lot of transportation system, and virtually also you're connected through the internet, through the television, and through telecommunication. There is more sense of equality in the society through democracy. Governance changes hands to people who are more competent by people's vote. There is infant mortality rate has also reduced, and the lifespan of the people has also increased. The education is now a basic human right, and literacy has increased. So if we see that where are we today in terms of right understanding, we can say there is so much of information that is available, but to ignore the need for right understanding, we're ignoring the need to understand happiness correctly. If we talk about prosperities in the family, families are actually unable to understand that physical facilities are required in limited quantity. So people want unlimited physical facilities. All our economy, our education system is teaching us how to earn more and more wealth and become millionaires and billionaires. All this madness for profit actually leads to exploitation. Now, if you talk about fearlessness or trust in the society, in place of working for fearlessness, we're working for strategic powers. There is less trust among the people. Nations are producing more and more weapons to ensure peace. We do not have programs to ensure mutual trust among people, which is the basis of fearlessness, peace, and harmony. Now, if you talk about coexistence with nature, with our technological development, we're trying to get victory over nature and disrupting the nature cycle. We have forgotten that our basic support system is nature, and by disturbing its balance, we're calling our own destruction. So you have to understand that the root of all these problems is the wrong assumption that we have made about ourselves, about the nature, the existence, and therefore about a purpose, about goal of society and so on. With these assumptions, the efforts are often leading to contradictions. These appear as the problem. These are only the indicators or symptoms of our own wrong assumption. So now we'll talk about that what are the programs actually needed to achieve the comprehensive human goal. That is the five dimensions of human endeavor. The five dimensions of human endeavor or Manive Vyavastha are education for right living, that is Siksha Sanskar, health for self-regulation, that is Swasth and Sanyam, justice and preservation, that is Nyaya Suraksha, production and work, that is Utpadan Karya, exchange and storage, that is Vinmay Kosh. In the following slides, these points have been discussed in detail. To the first one, that is education for right living or Siksha Sanskar. So, education and living. So, it is made up of two words, education and right living. The society should work to ensure right understanding and right feelings in every individual. The content of education is the understanding of harmony at all the four levels of our existence, from myself to the entire existence. Right level or sanskar refers to the ability to live in harmony at all the four levels of living. Education is what? It is to understand the harmony at all the four levels of living. Right living is commitment and preparedness to live in harmony at all the four levels. What are the four levels? The four levels are living: individual, family, society, and nature. So this dimension of the society works to ensure right understanding and right feeling, or all encompassing solution called samadhan in every individual, so that the coming generation works towards achieving their goals of continuous happiness and prosperity. This is the goal and objective of education. So, that is the main purpose of education. So, we cover the first dimension. Now, we come to the next dimension, that is the second one. The second dimension is self regulation for health, that is Swasth and Sanyam. So the body should be fit to act according to the needs of the self, and the harmony among the parts of the body should be maintained. So this implies healthy body. Sanyam refers to a feeling of responsibility for nurturing, protecting, and right utilization of the body. When the body is fit to act according to the needs of the self, that is the I, and there is harmony among the parts of the body, it is referred to as health or swasth. Sanyam or self-regulation is actually the basis for swasth. So it is the work of the it is the work of the self to take care of the body, to nurture the body and keep the body fit and healthy. The next the next one is justice and preservation, that is Nyaya Suraksha. So justice in a relationship is achieved through mutual happiness. In addition to human-human relationship, one has to ensure that the relationship with the rest of the nature is mutually enriching for humanity as well as for nature. This dimension works to ensure enrichment, protection and right utilization. Justice or Nyaya refers to harmony in relationship between human beings, while preservation, that is Suraksha, refers to harmony in the relationship between human being and the rest of the nature. So justice shows relationship between human beings, its recognition, its fulfillment, its evaluation, leading to mutual happiness. Whereas preservation shows the relationship of human being with the rest of the nature, its recognition, its fulfillment, and its evaluation, which will lead to mutual prosperity. And ultimately, there will be enrichment in the nature, you will be protecting the nature, and the right utilization of the nature will take place. So, discuss this example with the help we'll discuss this particular point with the help of example in the next slide. So in the next slide we talk about preservation. So what is preservation? Preservation is what it is actually suraksha. So how are you doing preservation? So for example, I cultivate wheat, so this helps in enriching the soil. So this enriches the wheat as the quantity grows. Secondly, I protect the wheat that is growing so that it becomes fit for everybody to eat, so that is protection. What is right utilization? I use it for nurturing of the body and I do not waste it and I do not hoard it. So that is your right utilization of the wheat that you have grown. So in this way we are preserving the way we are actually showing our relationship with the nature through this type of a preservation. So suraksha means enrichment, that is samvardhan, protection, that is sanrakshan, and right utilization, that is sadupyog. So preservation is through these 3 points, that is enrichment, protection, and right utilization. Now we come to the fourth point, that is work for production or utpadan and karya. So the products have to be identified on the basis of the physical needs of the body for nourishment, for protection, and right utilization of the body. We need food, clothing, shelter, and various kinds of instruments such as transport, communication, etc. for right utilization of the body. Production should be through cyclical process in harmony with nature such that every unit is enriched. For example, if I am putting seed in the soil and giving water, it makes a plant, it grows into a tree. This way the soil gets enriched, the seeds multiply and the trees grow. So work and the work, it is referring to the physical efforts that is being made by the humans on the rest of the nature. While production refers to the output or the physical produce that is obtained through these efforts. So work is what? That the labor that the human being is doing on the rest of the nature. Production, that is things that are obtained out of work. So in production you have to decide what to produce and how to produce. So let us discuss what to produce. So the particular decision of what to produce depends on the right identification of the needs. For this, we need to identify the physical needs of the body. That is, what is needed for the nourishment, protection, and right utilization of the body. So we see that there is need for food, clothing, shelter, and various instruments. For example, we need means of transport for communication. We need remote viewing images also for right utilization of the body. Next, we discuss how to produce. Over here, we are referring to the technology or the systems used for production. So it has been observed that the system in nature are cyclical, that is avartanshil process in harmony, and it is in harmony with the nature. It is in harmony with the nature. The system in nature are mutually fulfilling or mutually enriching. Hence, every unit has to be enriched. So the example of cyclic and enriching process in nature. When a seed is planted in the soil and we water it, we add the water to it. It grows to be a tree and in turn it bears flowers, fruits. The fruits ripen, the leaves mature and they fall to the ground and enrich the soil, forming manure by decaying. The seeds are scattered from the soil into the soil and once again these fruits from the plant will bear fruit. So this is the cyclical process. So and this is known as avartanshil. Now I talk about the enrichment process. So production is already taking place in the nature. We don't have to manage it. These trees and plants, they grow on their own. Accordingly, we can only facilitate that process by first understanding and then learning the skills. Hence, when we're talking of production, it is desirable to extend this production system that is already inherently present in nature. We eat them and finally it goes back to the soil through excretion. We can extend this process by making jam or jelly out of these particular fruits. Thus, we are extending the cyclical production process already taking place in the nature. The amount of wood one person would require in his lifetime can be obtained from 4 full-grown trees. So you have to decide how many trees are actually required by a person. Accordingly, you must plant those number of trees. So the purpose of science and technology is to facilitate the cyclical process in nature and make human beings more and more fulfilling. So next one, that is exchange and storage, or Vinmay and Kosh. So the exchange, that is Vinmay, refers to the exchange of physical facilities between the members of the society, while storage, that is Kosh, refers to the storage of physical facilities that is left after fulfilling the needs of the family. So exchange should be for mutual fulfillment, but not for the madness of profit, and storage should be for not for hoarding, but for the fulfillment of the needs. So when you produce more than required, we exchange for our current needs and store for future needs. So the sharing is within the family, or to the extent one has been able to accept relationship, and beyond that it is exchange. So through sharing and exchange of physical facility, each family can have all that it needs. That is, there is mutual fulfillment. When you're exchanging physical facility with a family, with a community, the important aspect is the feeling or view with which the exchange is being done. So storage is keeping the physical facility with a view of mutual fulfillment and not with the obsession for profit or accumulation or exploitation. So it is for protection physical facility so that it is available and required for the purpose of mutual fulfillment. So we can understand this with the help of an example. So, if there are two people and they have two pieces of bread which is not sufficient for both, so how do they divide this bread? There are three possibilities. Both try to take both the pieces of bread, they struggle and fight. Eventually, they decide to take one each. Each decides separately that henceforth they will make more efforts to grab more of the available food. This would be the economics of take. Both are trying to maximize the returns and both are unhappy. Secondly, second possibility is that they logically work out that they can go get only one piece each, so they divide it equally, but neither is fully satisfied. So this is economics of give take. Thirdly, both the persons have a feeling of relationship, like a mother and child. They know that two pieces of bread are not sufficient even for one person. Each offers both pieces of bread to the other. They discuss and eventually decide to take one piece of bread each. They also decide to work together to make more pieces of bread in the future. So they can both fulfill their needs. So this is the economics of give. So you have to find out that which kind of economics is actually operating within your family. When there is acceptance of the other, it is always give mode. The mutual fulfillment is in the center. Only when there is lack of acceptance of the other or opposition with the other, we think about the take more, give less mode. So we have to verify this. When the exchange and storage are done with a view of mutual fulfillment, it will help you to ensure prosperity, and it will also help in the process of ensuring fearlessness in the society. On the other hand, if it is done with a view of profit or obsession of profit, or it is done for exploitation, it will be a cause of deprivation instead of prosperity, and it will also be a cause of fear in the society. So now when that feeling of production and right utilization, feeling of giving extends to the neighborhood and the community, it makes for an assuring unit of human order. In such a neighborhood or community, there is feeling of assurance which further strengthens fearlessness that is based on trust. Hence, we can say that a society is composed of families living together with a common goal. At each level, the harmony contributes to the harmony at the next higher level. Human beings individually in harmony contribute to harmony to a family order that is in harmony. Thus, the families in harmony contribute to a harmonious societal order and all the way to world family order, which is what universal human order is all about. So we can see that in the over here we can see how these five dimensions of humanistic society are able to ensure the human goal. So education for right living leads to right understanding. That is, having the process of education and right living leads to right understanding in the individual. Health Health is leading to self-regulation, which leads to prosperity. So having the program for health and Sanyam leads to well-being of the body and identification of need for physical facilities, which along with production ensures feeling of prosperity in the family. Then you have justice that and preservation, which leads to fearlessness and coexistence. So ensuring justice in relationship or mutual fulfillment in relationship on the basis of values like trust, respect, etc. leads to fearlessness in the society, where while suraksha of nature, that is via enrichment, protection and right utilization, leads to coexistence in the nature. Then you have production and work, which leads to prosperity and coexistence. So, production and work are for physical facilities, and this leads to a feeling of prosperity in the family. Production is done in harmony with nature, and hence this also leads to coexistence with nature. Then you have exchange and storage, which leads to prosperity and fearlessness. When we are storing and exchanging for mutual fulfillment and not for exploitation, then it leads to fearlessness. In this way, so the society with happiness in every individual, prosperity in every family, there is fearless and trust in the society, and coexistence, that is mutual fulfillment in nature and existence, is realized. So this is my participation or value vis-a-vis the society. So for today's lecture, this much students. In the next lecture, we'll continue with further topics. Thank you, students. Okay, students, thank you. It will meet in the next class.